Johnny Fontana, Real World NF Scorpio, back with another video.
Yes, because confirmation bias, belonging to a silo, a thought silo, belonging to a bubble, being with like-minded people, fending off countervailing information and the intrusions of reality. And so these have become the main art form in online.
Today, we're going to talk about knowledge versus information.
Today in the education system in the West, they tell you, what does it matter, knowledge? What does it matter, facts?
Yeah.
Why we need to memorize facts? It's idiotic. We need to learn how to find them, not how to memorize. We don't need to memorize them. We need to learn how to find them.
Right.
Yes, but what do you do with them when you find them? Knowledge is not information. Knowledge is structured information. And the structure contains context, contains antecedents, contains many things.
Yeah.
And they don't teach knowledge anymore. They don't teach information even anymore. They teach tools.
Now, before we get started, just to let you know that I'm outside in my car in the Florida heat and with the windows down because the AC makes a little too much noise. So just for the sake of sound quality, I have the windows down and the AC off, but I may start sweating, so bear with me. Now, another thing, this video is not about showing myself off as some grandiose philosopher, as a know-it-all, show off, or anything like that. It's just basically providing context, like I always do, providing information. And also knowledge, right? One of the problems that the MBTI community is facing, but more specifically INFJ community, because again, I don't dabble in other communities. I am observing, and this is what we do, right? Like we observe, we go to places, we observe, we connect dots. Is that far too many of us are just relying on information that we already know. So for example, I make attempts to watch other videos, right? Like I'm not one of those who's like, oh, I'm not gonna watch anyone else's videos. I don't do that, right? However, when I do so, I make an honest attempt. I'm met with a lot of fluff, a lot of like watered down, just the truth mixed with like a whole lot of like sugarcoating, right? And not really giving direct, context. And many of the content that I watch is stuff that I already know, or that I've already heard, from other YouTubers. Like, how do you spot an INFJ? What are the top 10 INFJ traits? Bad traits, good traits.
None of us want to be challenged. And then if you do challenge someone, you get yelled down. Like if you take someone who needs to be woken up, they're in this very victim mentality and it's their time to be like, hey, shut the fuck up and step up. No one wants to say that shit to them. No one. Then you get called out. It's easier to be like, you're right, you're a victim. Go in your safe space, you're a little victim. Versus, man up, motherfucker. No one will say that. And then we just become trapped. And I see it more and more. People who are in victim mentality who just want to keep reinforcing that poor little me story. Now that doesn't mean that bad shit didn't happen to you. Of course it could have happened to you. But if you keep hanging on to that story, you're never going to move past it. You're never going to grow from it. It'll keep defining who you are. It'll keep trapping you. And then the more people agree with you, the more it's reinforced. The more it's alive. The same with, again, victims. They would rather me be like, you're right, poor you, than, hey, you could also do this to fix it. Because most people don't want to fix it. They just want to keep reinforcing who they are, their story of themselves, and their experience of them. So force yourself to be challenged. Surround yourself with people who challenge you. Surround yourself with people who trigger you.
And so anyone who threatens the status quo by claiming to know the truth, by offering possibilities and so on, is a problem and is chased away.
Yeah.
It's spoil sport. It crushes the party.
Yeah.
So he's chased away.
It's funny because ever seen like a Reddit poster go on there and like, hey, I have this epiphany, I have this new thought, I made some connections, boom 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 boom, gets like maybe 2 to like 5 comments. Whereas if someone else goes in there, it's like, oh, I'm feeling a certain way, how do I identify? I'm trying to identify with my INFJ girlfriend or boyfriend, or how do I get that person back in my life? Or I'm feeling a certain way, I'm not in tune with my body, I don't understand where I am in this world. I'm starting to understand certain things and I just can't relate to the rest of the world. I feel so different. And then comments, I get where you're coming from. Oh, spot on, same here. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right? We need to be able to hold multiple concepts. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Because I do it just as much as you do, but I just maybe do it in a different form with my wife. So she gets me, and then I need for her to get me, and she provides me context. That's not what I'm saying.
Some of them doctors of medicine, some of them professors of, or at least one, professor of physics. Some of them professors of theology and philosophy, and I have names in mind, I'm just not mentioning them. And they believe, sincerely, that Earth has been invaded by reptilians and they took over. That personalities like Elizabeth II is actually a reptile. Only these reptilians have the ability to shapeshift and present as human. But they're not human. If someone cuts Elizabeth II in two, they will see a reptile.
I see.
There is no doubt in my mind that a combined professor of theology and philosophy, one of the brightest minds I know him personally, by the way, there was little doubt in my mind that he doesn't believe that Elizabeth II is a reptile. Although he does believe in other conspiracy theories, like 9/11 and so on. I thought that was a step too far, a bridge too far. I asked why. Suddenly it occurred to me. It's not the reptiles. It's belonging. It's a group. It's a community.
Yeah.
It's sharing something. Being welcomed, being accepted. Your eccentricity, your insanity, being accepted. It's about belonging. The need to belong overrules everything. If the condition to belong is to accept that Elizabeth II is a reptile, fuck Elizabeth II, she's a reptile.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's belonging, it's crucial.
Yeah.
This is what creates cults. And this is what creates other equally insane beliefs, like that a Jew, illiterate carpenter, died and rose from the dead, which is about as insane as believing that Elizabeth II is a reptile. Yeah? So, belonging.
But the problem is that there is no balance. It's just mostly that. And those who want to actually get into these complex, right, conversations, it's not there. Like let's seriously listen to this in terms of complexities and so forth.
In other words, everything that is complex is perceived as a direct attack on your omnipotence, omniscience, godlike perfection, and so on and so forth. For the very simple reason that the vast majority of people cannot understand complexity. For them, it's a challenge. They feel challenged by the very fact that it's complex. So they resent complexity. The whole thing I just mentioned, identicalness and so on, is actually a rejection of complexity in favor of one-dimensionality. That's Marcuse's one-dimensional man. In favor of one-dimensionality, reducing the world to a single dimension to allow everyone to feel godlike. Because if you're not godlike, you're a zero.
Yeah.
Dichotomous thinking.
Yes.
Either you're God or you're zero. Either hero or zero. Nothing in between. So how to become a hero? How to become a God? Reduce the universe. Don't enhance yourself. Reduce the universe. And that ties into pathological envy. I told you that pathological envy is not about emulating or imitating and becoming better. It's about reducing and destroying the object of frustration.
Right.
In this case, the object of frustration is the whole world.
You see what I'm saying to you? Like, let's be honest. Like, who else is providing this right now? In terms of the INFJ community, who else is providing this type of information? Yeah, you have others who are, and there's nothing wrong with providing different forms of information. Like you can have people who are the MBTI jargonists, who are those who are more scientific, who are geared towards more healing. You know, like I said, I'm one of those who are, I'm just SE driven, so I'm more towards like going in there, trying to figure out why things are, and just taking one for the team, right? Picking up patterns and saying, no, this is not right for the team. We shouldn't be doing this. We need to be, you know, figuring out better ways. And then I seek, you know, guidance from the scientists, you know, or from the philosophers, or like for example, Sam Vaknin, he's a scientist, right? So I seek information from him. Esther Perel, she's, you know, like a sort of like a therapist, you know, so psychotherapist, works with marital couples, so she understands psychology, sociology. So I get my references from her, from Sadhguru, you know, like I get my spiritual information from him. So I'm getting all the information from other places, and then I'm bringing back the context, and that's why you see when I use Billy Corgan and all these other motivational people, and then I put them into these videos because I'm providing context, and it's not, so that it's not only coming from me, but it's like you. And then I said it, and remember I started making the videos. This is before I sort of like toned down a bit, right? Because I used to be like, you know, and then now I'm like, dude, like what I was saying before when I was really gung-ho about it, it's really happening, right? So I'm gonna give you 2 examples. One of the guys, he does, you know, like coaching and so forth and so on, but this is what the person who he was coaching told him. Listen.
And that's something that's happening more and more, and I see it more and more in terms of coaching too. More and more clients just want to hear what reinforces what they already believe. They never want to be challenged. You know, there's a guy, I remember this is in New York, and he knew about self-help. He's like, you know what? I've made a decision this year to only surround myself with positive people. I'm like, fucking awesome. Why not? Great. However, his definition of positive people were people who always agreed with him. So when I come up to him, I'm like, hey man, don't do this. Do this instead. He's like, Julian, I don't really appreciate this. I'm like, what? Now, I didn't say it in a dickish way. I was very friendly and nice about it. I did a feedback sandwich. But he was like, Julian, I don't appreciate this. I'm like, what? He's like, you're not being nice and positive. And I told myself I'd only be around positive people. I'm like, well, this is what you need to hear. Like, this is the real feedback. This is what you're paying me for. But no, all he wanted was for me to be like, thumbs up, motherfucker. Whatever you do, fucking thumbs up. Nothing will change, but it reinforces that fucking story. Thumbs up. Okay.
So you see what I'm saying to you? So yes, it is. A lot of it has to do with just people wanting to feel, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be one and the same with a group. Same thing within the MBTI. You have your subsections, you have your subdivisions. Just because you're an INFJ doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot go into the relationship subsections or current affairs or the politics or religion, but you still have your own little niche subgroup that you can hang out with because you want to be with like-minded people. There's nothing wrong with that. However, when you only just want to hang out there, when you only want to get the spot on, I agree with you, then that's when it's just information versus knowledge, because information is just information that you can take readily on. Knowledge is what you actually do and how you apply this information that you received.
Then there is the issue of confusing information with knowledge. Information is unstructured, raw. When you take it and process it, it becomes knowledge. The internet encourages us to think that information is knowledge. Everything comes in huge dollops of goo and we tend to confuse this with knowledge. So if you know what happened in 1066, you have information. You don't have knowledge at all. You don't know the context. You don't know the true history, the background, the decision making, nothing. You know the information. So we confuse information with knowledge. Now this is again something that narcissists do. What narcissists do in order to impress you, they accumulate a lot of anecdotes, a lot of anecdotal knowledge, information. They accumulate a lot of bits of information and then they throw it at you. And they overwhelm you. They paralyze you with this river of endless. And you say, wow, this guy is amazing. He's so knowledgeable. He's not. He's a trash bin of anecdotes and
just spewing it
factoids. And so spewing it out.
So it's like, you know, I made a comment, and I don't really comment on other INFJ videos. I mean, sorry, on other videos, particular INFJ videos of either INFJ making the videos of INFJs or other non-INFJs making INFJ videos. And this past week I had to respond. I'm like, okay, fine, great information, but you're like, you claim to be answering a question from someone, and you're providing like 5 reasons why INFJs do this or whatever, but yet you provide no depth, no context beyond what everyone already knows. Because as an INFJ, you know that we spend a whole lot of time researching. We're just connecting dots, researching. So when we find someone who we relate to, we're like, yeah, like that's the thrill of it. But again, that's just information because we already know that. And then so now we have to sort of now switch our mind, sort of switch that gear, and to be like, okay, now let me start finding new information.
Similarly with expertise. People don't say we don't want experts. They say, first of all, I'm as much an expert as you are because I have access to the biggest library in human history, to the internet. With a few clicks of a mouse, I can know anything I want about anything, so I'm as much an expert as you. But the difference between us is that I'm independent. This used to be the preserve of narcissists. Most people would have said, yes, I really don't know many things. Yes, please teach me. I would like to learn. What changed that is the internet. Because suddenly everyone knows everything because everyone has access to Wikipedia. That's it.
Yeah.
Now everyone is omniscient with a single click of the mouse or even with a tap of the screen. You want to know what happened in 1066, it's a tap away. You want to, so in which sense, for example, a professor of history is superior to you? He knows what happened in 1066 and so could you. You're both of equal knowledge. Only you chose not to realize this potential, but it exists.
Right.
And it doesn't require a lot of work. It's very easy.
Yeah.
So you're omniscient by definition.
Yeah.
Omniscient by definition.
Right? And even if the information is the same, so for example, what I do is that I provide you knowledge in the fact that the information that I'm providing you already know, but I'm packaging it in a term or in a way that sort of it demonstrates knowledge over the course of society of how it's impacting the world, other people, different communities, right? Society as a whole, rather than it just impacting us. So that's why I refrain from a lot of self-reflect analysis, a lot of any self-reflect, content, because it does you as the viewer no good, because you're seeking that knowledge. You're seeking methods of which you can take the information that I provide and go out there and impart it onto others. Not in an imposing manner, but in a way that provides them a pathway towards their own success, right? So you're not necessarily giving folks answers, you're just providing them context and perspective so that now with their now newly educated mind, they can go out and create their own paths. You know what I'm saying? And create their own answers based on the information that you provided them, and then they now become knowledgeable, right?
When it comes to public intellectuals and the desire for fame, because they know that that's what's going to have an effect, do you think they can ever in their activities tip over into something bordering on I wouldn't say con artistry, but where they're being so fake just to get what they want that they're playing a dangerous game.
Most of the time.
Most of the public intellectuals, most of the time.
All the videos I watched are like that. Most videos that I've watched, without naming names and shaming shames, most of them are like that. They are meticulously, and I would say even expertly, I strongly suspect there are advisors behind them,
Yeah.
tailored to cater to the widest denominator, the greatest common taste, and to flatter the viewer and and cater to his grandiose need to be considered special, in the know, privileged, and absolutely, they are all absolutely tailored for this.
Right.
Not all, I'm exaggerating, but where you don't find this is with public intellectuals whose viewership is more limited.
Right.
So, but when you have public intellectuals with 100 million followers and so on, I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're sacrificing $50,000. I'm not angry or critical even. So, and here you go and become a celebrity, public intellectual, you can easily make $20,000, $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
And some of them make $250,000 a month.
Yeah.
A month.
Wow.
I mean, it shatters your mind. It's psychedelic.
Yes.
It's absolutely psychedelic.
Yeah.
You know. And then you're exposed to 20 million people who are like, and it's irresistible. It's the changes. I don't think can be counted. There's no way to vaccinate, to immunize these people against such reactions.
Sure.
So, like, it's just, I'm just telling you, just to be careful. There's nothing wrong with going out there and finding information that, you know, you relate to. Like, that's what I do, right? I do research that sort of like solidifies and supports my analysis. And then I shake it up and then I provide that content to you. But it's not information that you already know. I provide you a different context, right? I'm not going to give you the 5 top this or the 5 top that, or tell you why are INFJs, you know, sad, or what can you do when you're sad, what can you do when you're this, or how can you get that INFJ back. That's like, at a certain point, it's like, where's the complexity in that? And he talks about it here in terms of how easy it is to get into these things. Listen, anyone can be an expert. Listen.
But now they're faced with a unique situation. Who will certify? There is an issue of certification. Who will certify that they're experts? How can they prove that they're intellectuals? So what they did, they found areas of knowledge where you can become instant expert. For example, suddenly, fields of knowledge which allowed you to claim verifiably and truthfully that you're an expert within a month or a week came to prominence.
So not many people know that the MBTI is a actually administered personality assessment, and it's one that is administered by certified MBTI practitioners like myself. And what that means is we go to a week-long certification training course where they teach us about what MBTI is on a deeper level, and then they teach us how to actually administer the test as well as interpret it. And then we learn to take the results that the person gets and really discuss with them what those results mean and help them find their type based on the results they got in the test.
If you go to discussion boards of astrology, you will find 3 million people, 5 million people, and I'm exaggerating not. If you go to discussion boards of nuclear physics, you'd be lucky to find 800. People go to these boards of astrology. Why? Because each and every single one of them claims to be an expert. I'm making natal charts. I discovered this. The conjunction of Uranus with I don't know who. I mean, they're all experts. And you know what? When you analyze what they're writing, they are experts. Because astrology requires a week.
Right.
They are real experts.
Yeah.
And people who are experts on British football, they are real experts. They will tell you what Chelsea did and what Manchester did and United Manchester. And they really know what they're talking about. So suddenly these fields, pseudoscience, occult, sports, they became prominent. No one talks anymore about physics, or because these fields allow you to feel good, allow you to feel like real expert. And the second thing that happened is political correctness and what I call malignant intolerance.
Right? So relative to like forms of physics compared to astrology, MBTI and all this stuff, sports, you have a lot of folks in these. And that's why everyone wants to be an INFJ. Everyone wants to be an MBTI. Everyone wants to be that, because the system has allowed it that where there isn't really that much complexity involved, other than to say, I'm an introvert. I feel certain things. I'm intuitive. Okay, fine. What are you doing with that intuition? You know what I'm saying? How are you helping others beyond just patting them on the back and saying you're gonna be okay, and then I relate to what you're saying? How are you not providing them that worldly advice from a non-biased approach, right? You gotta think about these kind of things. So that's all I have to say on that. But just be careful. Just be careful. There's nothing wrong with being within these groups and all that stuff, but start engaging in a little bit. And I'm talking about to the YouTubers, providing context, and also those who think they know INFJs and providing INFJ content. Just stop listing the 5 INFJ this and then just say, we already know that. It doesn't matter, because guess what? The person who asked you to make that video already knew it. They just wanted to hear someone else say it so that they can say, oh yes. Because then guess what? You now become addicted to that, all right, to that juice, to that buzz of, oh, I want to hear what I already know. Because it's easy. It's not very complex at all. It's very soothing, very satisfying, right? So just take that, right? Again, I'm not trying to come across as if I know it all and so forth and so on. But guess what? You've heard the INFJs can come across as if they know it all, right? So if you feel a certain way that I'm telling you that, then obviously you're not being able to hold multiple concepts in your minds, because guess what? I'm doing exactly what you do. And you can't fault me for it. I'm just providing you a different context and different perspective. Johnny Fontana, Real World NF Scorpio. We out.